saying? Once again, man, tuning in, man. I hope I can get this out. Had a little bit difficulties, but this for my brothers and sisters out there on the continent worldwide who tuning in. I hope y'all coming in to the channel, man, and y'all giving y'all thumbs up on this information I'm trying to share with y'all. But it's all about y'all being able to be informed and be properly educated with the right information. It's not y'all taking my opinions and my thoughts or being influenced by those, but to be influenced by the information you get, the right information, the knowledge you gain to further, you know what I'm saying, be able to assess, to make the right decision and to make sure you know what to do, what's going on in the world, and how to move, you know what I'm saying, this world of great deception, you know what I'm saying, and great influencers that are trying to mislead the population. You know what I'm saying? So let's get to it, man. My brothers and sisters on the continent right now, man, it's a dire situation. It's a dire situation not for the people who are suffering under oppression, war, and conflict that's being created by this small white few, but it's a dire situation where it's that this enemy is trying to deflect, is trying to, you know what I'm saying, get the focus off of also what's going on the continent of West Africa, you know what I'm saying, and those countries that then overthrew they former colonizers, they former masters, you know what I'm saying, and literally got them off their continent, out their country, out their land, you know what I'm saying, told them to leave, you know what I'm saying, and these people are very upset at that, you know what I'm saying, and so this is a good way to distract the human being, distract the minds of the public, you know what I'm saying, to focus on something else by creating another war. They create the conditions. We can't lose sight of that. They create the oppression. They create the death. They create the brutality. They create the killing. They create, you know what I'm saying, the thievery and the robbery. They create the land grabbing and taking land, you know what I'm saying, from people, the original people of those land. They create those conditions, people. We can't forget that. You know what I'm saying? And so right now, everybody focuses on Palestinians and Israel, rightfully so. But a lot of people would lose fact that the oppression that's been going on in Palestine and Gaza, the West Bank, has been constantly going on way before this incident happened with Israel. Constantly the babies, the elderly has been dying. Constantly, you know what I'm saying, they've been getting killed by settlers in the military, you know what I'm saying, in Israel. This stuff has constantly been going on. The oppression's been going on with Haiti. You know what I'm saying? We see what's going on in Haiti. The blockade and the constant attack on Cuba been going on, you know what I'm saying? And so we shouldn't wait till something explode and happen, then our minds get focused on this, and we get put in a situation where we got to choose side. And it's the enemy, you know, who's creating these conditions. And they creating these conditions. I'm talking to the African on the continent, the brothers and sisters on the continent who are sincerely on the front line for fighting against those opposing powers who want to keep the continent colonized, keep the continent undeveloped, and keep the bootlickers and the sellouts of their people in control and leadership so they can serve the masters who rob and thieve and take advantage of all the natural resources that the people of those countries and lands will be taking advantage of. You know what I'm saying? But the sellouts make sure they keep their crooked deals, bogus deals in play, you know what I'm saying? Because they rule over the people under the skies of democracy. You know what I'm saying? And so right now the focus is on the Palestinians, you know what I'm saying? But when the brothers and sisters and the people, you know what I'm saying, was in revolutionary modes, overthrowing, they colonized the French, which is allied to the United States, allied to Britain, allied to NATO and the European Union. When they was overthrowing these people and exposing what they was doing over there in those countries, the news didn't make it nationalized. They didn't make that a big world focus on what French was doing and what they was engaged in. Because to do that, it would be saying to the people of the world the same thing that's been going on for so many years. The mentality of white supremacy, the mentality of white superiority, which make people, certain groups of people, more greater than other people. The other people are less than, marginalized, made to look less than, made to look like little kids. This same mentality is going on the continent. This same type of manipulation and oppression and robbery and thievery is going on the continent. They didn't want to make that rationalized because they all tied into it. They all big supporters of each other. The very supporters who support Israel right now, France, Europe, UE, NATO, United States, support what France was doing when they was in control of those countries who they had to lead. They was all allied in support of that. They was involved in creating terrorist groups, getting them guns to keep up the chaos in those African countries. So they can have their bootlickers used. We got to maintain stability. And they the right man to do it. And so it allowed them to be kept in power. But they're only being kept in power to maintain the manipulation of those former colonizers to maintain control of those African countries' economy and natural resources. And so when those people got threw out, they are very upset. If the African brothers and sisters on the continent think they're going to relinquish their power, they're going to relinquish their deals, they're not going to get no get back. You so wrong, man. You so blind. You can't lose sight. This enemy right now is plotting against those very African countries. How can they get those countries back? How can we punish those countries for their doing what they did to us? Because like I said, the French have allies, United States, Britain, European Union, NATO, all support imperialism, all support capitalism, all support bogus deals, all was countries and governments that took land on the continent, took the land from the original people and inhabitants and imposed unjust system, imposed apartheid systems, imposed Jim Crow systems, killed, robbed, raped the people of those lands. Same people who were allied together. And they still doing this to this day. So now they got the world distracted. They got some of the Africans distracted from what was going on in their backyard. They got the world looking at the divisions at other people. But they had divisions all that had been created by the enemy on the continent. They got the Africans looking at why is the Arabs divided? Why are the Palestinians divided? They got the Africans and the people outraged at the fact that it's blockades on Gaza. The electricity, food can't get in. They put those blockades on Gaza to starve the people out. But then they forget these same symptoms they've been dealing with, the same divisions. African country cutting off Niger because they decided to kick out their former masters. But then another fellow brother decided to blockade, cut their electricity off, cut their food supply off. Same thing happened on the continent. These same leaders who was urging warfare on some of these countries for doing what they did, because they dared to stand up to their colonizers. Some of the same blacks was actively promoting, engaging in warfare to overturn what the people had already decided to do. We can't get distracted. We can't lose focus. This is the same enemy. Same enemy willing to oppress other people. Cuba still got blockades, still being attacked. The Venezuelan government still getting attacked. Country still being disrupted and divided by their own people. People are fleeing over here into this country because the Western powers don't agree with the people choosing their own systems. a system that when their leader, Hugo Chavez, was in power, was teaching their people to be self-sufficient, dependent on themselves, to not be dependent on the Western powers, to not embrace their system, that their system keep them dependent on them, asking and begging them for money from a banking system that only comes in to cripple their country, take control of their economic systems, keep them in debt to them. Therefore, they can dictate policies within their system. And so they always going to oppose and try to eliminate somebody who stands up against them becoming slaves. Haiti, been an ongoing fight and attack against the Haitians, who was the first one on these Western shores of black people who liberated themselves in a revolution. And these same Western powers of the day was all allies, was all in on making them pay. It wasn't just French. The French had help from the United States. And they've been getting help from all their allies to make sure Haiti never forget. Made them pay reparations. Made them pay reparations to their former slave masters. And we see the suffering of what's going on the Haitians right now. When they flee and come to the United States, they both get turned back around. They're not welcome. Their life don't matter. They babies and elders are less than. And we see and look what goes on in the Gaza Strip, that marginalization, that they people are less than. They babies and elders, they don't matter. And we see what's been going on the African continent for so long. These same powers have manipulated, deceived, raped, robbed, killed, and murdered the continent with the help of people who look like them, to sit in rulership, who agree to their system, agree to their deals. And because they so crafty, conniving, they're able to trick people, get people distracted to regain the up when they get put down or somebody come along and stand up against them. They have the patience to know that we're going to eliminate that person. We're going to get rid of that Hugo Chavez. We're going to see Fidel Castro die. And hopefully we can get control of that island and the people. We're going to eliminate a Gaddafi on the continent who's talking that revolutionary talk, who's talking that independence talk, who's talking that, telling the other people on the continent to stand up to us, to stand up against oppression, to stand up to capitalism and imperialism. We're going to get rid of that mouth and keep chaos in that country and let it spread throughout the continent. And we bankroll it and we arm it so we can maintain control, maintain the ups. This is what's going on, people. And if we lose focus, we get distracted, the enemy is sitting back waiting. They plotting right now, they strategizing right now on those countries. Because those countries not taking heed to unite. Those countries not taking heed to collaborate. This be our biggest downfall as black people, not coming together, unifying and collaborating. And as long as we getting the results, it shouldn't be no problem who the leader is. As long as we all getting the results of this collaboration, of this unity. As long as everybody's benefiting from this one purpose goal and gaining the results. But we allow our ego, our arrogance, our distrust that's been sown because of the wars and conflict. We got to get away from this, brothers. We got to stay on purpose. We got to stay on focus. Or we'll find ourselves not being able to come together and getting picked off individually. And this is how this enemy works. This is how they get at us. They use our lack of unity as a weakness. And so they're able to pick us off. So they planning, they plotting right now. They got the world distracted. They're not focused on West Africa, them countries that then overthrew their colonizers. They're not focused on those bootlicking leaders who be up with starving our population, shutting off electricity, cutting off food supplies to the people. Because they are in line with their former colonizers. They up with imperialism. They up with capitalism. They up with warfare. They up with division. They up with starvation. They up with diseases. Because that's who they allow with when they do stuff like that. So it's easy to see these very leaders and these very people to support Israel and the things they do to the Palestinian people. And try to play like they up with humanity, they up with life. To say that just the Israeli women, children, kids matter, but the Palestinian women, children, kids don't matter. And they've been going through this type of death and oppression way before the senseless violence took place on the Israelis. African brothers and sisters, you can't lose sight on the true enemy. You can't lose sight on what's the strategies that's going on. They plotting and they still plotting. They do not want to let you free. They do not want to see you be independent, self-sufficient, creating your own systems that benefit your entire population. Creating your own things that can't nobody dictate to you because you don't know how to create this or you don't have that. When we know how to study real successful revolutions, then we can understand our purpose and focus should be completely being self-sufficient, completely understanding we can do stuff for ourselves. We can create for ourselves. We don't have to be slaves forever. We don't have to go to the very people who create these conditions, who create these wars, who are the main perpetrator of the innocents dying. The main perpetrator and responsible person who are responsible for babies dying, elderly dying. They are the root causes. They are the root perpetrators of any innocence, Israeli or Palestinian, African or Asian. They are the true perpetrators. We let them off the hook when we go to them begging them for their help, begging them for their money, begging them to come in and be peacemakers of the very things they have created. We let them off the hook. We continue to surrender our power. We continue to allow them a very small minority to rule and rule wickedly. It takes away any type of morality or morals or spiritual morals, a foundation that one tries to stand on when you ally yourself with this type of wickedness and evilness. So don't lose focus, my brothers and sisters on the continent. Your enemy is plotting. He's trying to undo some of the gains that the young brothers and sisters on those continents have liberated themselves from. He's trying to maintain the enemy within, to maintain governance over the people, to keep the status quo in play. He's planning, he's strategizing. There's more to come. God willing, you live long enough, you will see. If you don't take action right now, organizations, the brothers who are sincere, educate the populace, educate those in the rural areas. You got to go out and educate them and inform them of what's going on. You got to be the one who convince them and educate them to see what's going on, so they don't make the wrong choices, so they don't sit on the sideline, so they don't sit silently while they see the oppression, silent and see why they see people being killed unjustly, allowing themselves to be influenced by materialistic stuff that the enemy come and spread their products, spread money around, just to sway the people for that moment to side with them. Don't fall for the trickery and deception, my brothers. Do the work. The work of educating the people is a must. All successful revolutions, from Mao Zedong in China, Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, from the Cuban Revolution from Fidel Castro and Che Guevara and them, they all took time to educate the population on revolution, on medical revolution, on food revolution, of being self-sufficient, independent on no other outside forces but themselves. That's why China cannot be dictated to. That's why China don't need nothing from Europe or United States for their people to maintain their existence. These are successful revolutions. This is where the continent got to go after having so long of years of wicked dealings with this enemy. How can we trust an enemy that has been years and years of history of wicked dealing, breaking treaties? How? Enough is enough. We got to educate the people, and we got to stop repeating the same cycle and the same thing we doing that's been repeated in the past. Stay focused. Don't be distracted, my brothers. Peace.